Today I'm going to talk about your thyroid and your hair. Sometimes when people, they may notice a loss of hair and they start getting cold. Some people might even see an enlarged thyroid gland. So there is a way to do it correctly without having to lose your hair or have a thyroid problem. So let's take a look at a couple things. Vitamin A activates the thyroid receptors, okay, in the thyroid gland itself. So the pituitary gland, which is a tiny little gland in your brain, sends a hormone down to the thyroid and it controls the thyroid. And this hormone is called thyroid stimulating hormone. Connects in the thyroid, little receptor, and it has several functions. One is that it increases the size of the thyroid hormone. Number two, it increases the production of the thyroid hormones like T4. So low amounts of vitamin A inhibit the receptors. So you're not activating the receptors of the thyroid very much. So what's going to happen is if you don't have this activation of the receptors, this hormone is going to start going higher and higher and higher to try to connect to make the thyroid work, because there's also a feedback loop telling the pituitary what to do. So if we're not getting this feedback loop because it's not connecting, the pituitary will start to increase this hormone right here. One of the problems with that is that this thyroid can then start to enlarge. Okay, so it starts getting bigger. But because it's not connecting that well, you may not have the quantity of thyroid hormones. If you look in the mirror, you can kind of see if it's kind of swollen right there. And then you also have a decreased uptake of this hormone. And this could be one of the reasons why you're cold. There's other reasons too that don't involve the thyroid gland. Now, if the thyroid gland is not working correctly, one of the symptoms that you can experience is hair loss. Okay, so you can be cold, hair loss, enlarged thyroid. Now, the next question is, could you be deficient in vitamin A or not? Let's take a look at that. Vitamin A comes from certain foods like eating liver, egg yolks, butter, fish oils, as in cod liver oil, and even certain leafy greens that can be converted into the active form of vitamin A. Realize that the greens contain carotenoids, which is the precursor for retinol. And the other thing you need to know is that the conversion is really like 10%, okay, under certain conditions. So you're not going to make a lot of active vitamin A from consuming a lot of greens. The other thing you should know is that you may not be able to absorb vitamin A properly if you have a fatty liver, or you have cirrhosis of the liver, or an inflamed liver, or you have a gallbladder problem, or you have a missing gallbladder, or you don't have enough bile, because you need bile to absorb this fat-soluble vitamin. These are just reasons why you may show a problem with a vitamin A deficiency, because you're eating these, but they're not being absorbed correctly. Now, if you have gastric bypass, for example, that could be another reason why you don't absorb vitamin A, because you have a now shortened small intestine. Also, if you have celiac or scar tissue in your colon, or SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, pretty much anything going on with the small intestine could create a vitamin A deficiency. Another symptom that you may notice with vitamin A deficiencies is a lack of vision at night when you're driving. So that's another little symptom. The other problem with vitamin A absorption is a lack of zinc. And a lack of zinc is way more common than a vitamin A deficiency. Why? Because we don't store zinc very effectively. If you're not actively consuming zinc on a regular basis, you're going to be deficient. Zinc is needed to transport vitamin A into the thyroid. Zinc is also needed in the production of thyroid hormone, as well as the conversion of T4 to T3. So this is another really important trace mineral. And on top of that, if you're consuming no animal products, let's say you're a vegan or you're consuming grains, that's another way to become zinc deficient. Some of the best foods that have good amounts of zinc: shellfish, fish in general, and red meat. There's other foods, but you're going to get a lot of zinc from these foods. The other problem with zinc is if you have an intestinal problem or a liver problem, that could be another reason why you're not absorbing zinc. So this goes beyond just the diet. Let's say that you have a problem with the small intestine because you have a history of antibiotics. You can take more of zinc, and then that way you have enough, because if it's not being absorbed, you can just take more, and that just might give you what you need to, for this conversion. The other problem is maybe you're not consuming enough shellfish or red meat, or you're not having any of these. Well, then you can just eat more of the raw materials. If you want more information about the thyroid gland, check out this video right here.